Lee Clayton. I am a computer technician for Tallapoosa County. Today I am joined by two special guests, Gracie Deason and her mom, Jamie Peavy. We want to talk about something that is near and dear to all of our hearts, brain injury awareness. The Brain Injury Association of America, the BIAA, leads the nation in observing Brain Injury Awareness Month by conducting an awareness campaign in March of each year. The theme for the 2015 to 2017 campaign is Not Alone. The Not Alone campaign provides a platform for educating the general public about the incident of brain injury and the needs of people with brain injuries and their families. The campaign also lends itself to outreach within the brain injury community to destigmatize the injury, empower those who have survived, and promote the many types of support that are available. Brain injury is unpredictable in its consequences. Brain injury affects who we are, the way we think, act, and feel. It can change everything about us in a matter of seconds. The most important thing to remember: a person with a brain injury is a person first. No two brain injuries are exactly the same. The effects of a brain injury are complex and vary greatly from person to person. The effects of a brain injury depend on such factors as cause, location, and severity. 2.5 million people sustain a brain injury, TBI, each year. The leading causes of a TBI are falls, 40%, other are unknown, 19%, struck by or against, 15%, motor vehicle crashes, 14%, and assaults, 10.7%. A healthy brain: to understand what happens when the brain is injured, it is important to realize what a healthy brain is made of and what it does. The brain is enclosed inside the skull. The skull acts as a protective covering for the soft brain. The brain is made of neurons, nerve cells. The neurons form tracts that route throughout the brain. These nerve tracts carry messages to various parts of the brain. The brain uses these messages to perform functions. The functions include coordinating our body systems such as breathing, heart rate, body temperature, and metabolism, thought processing, body movements, personality, behavior, and the senses such as vision, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. Each part of the brain serves a specific function and links with other parts of the brain to form more complex functions. All parts of the brain need to be working well in order for the brain to work well. Even minor or mild injuries to the brain can significantly disrupt the brain's ability to function. An injured brain. When a brain injury occurs, the functions of the neurons, nerve tracts, or sections of the brain can be affected. If the neurons and nerve tracts are affected, they can be unable or have difficulty carrying the message that tell the brain what to do. The way a person thinks, acts, feels, and moves the body. Brain injury can also change the complex internal functions of the body, such as regulating body temperature, blood pressure, bowel, and bladder control. These changes can be temporary or permanent. They may cause impairment or a complete inability to perform a function. So with that, I want to talk with Jamie. Jamie, on December the 14th, things changed for you in a split second.
Yes.
Can you tell the viewers what happened on December the 14th to our sweet Gracie?
On December the 14th, it was a Monday, and it was about 10 minutes till 8, and I was headed to work. And I got a phone call from Gracie's dad that said that her and Kelly, his girlfriend, were in a car accident and that I needed to get to the hospital. So I was at the red light on 280. It took me like 2 minutes to get to the hospital. And I pulled up in the parking lot and called work and told them that I was going to be a few minutes late. Gracie had been in a car accident. I was going to run in and check on her, make sure everything was okay, and then, I'd be on into work. So I parked, and I started getting a little nervous, just, like a mom would do. But I still, in my head, was thinking, she's fine. There's nothing really wrong. So I walked in and asked them, did they have a little girl that had been in a car accident? And she said, no, not yet. Well, I remembered as I was parking, there was an ambulance backing up into the ambulance bay. And so I walked outside and walked up to the ambulance, and Gabe was outside. And I've known Gabe for a long time because I've been working in the ER since 2004. And I said, Gabe, did you have a little girl on that ambulance? And he said, yes. And I said, well, that's my daughter. And so he opened the doors and let me in. And I said, well, is she okay? And he said, she's got a broke leg. So I'm thinking, okay, broke leg, not a big deal. We can handle a broke leg. It's not that bad. But as the doors opened, I didn't hear her crying, or, I could hear there was a lot of commotion going on. And I've worked in the ER, like I said, since 2004, so I immediately knew that things were not good, but I didn't know until I pulled back the curtain exactly how bad it was. And Gracie was laying on the stretcher, and she was covered in blood, and
It's okay. Take your time.
all my coworkers were around her. They were working on her, and her eye was already really big and swollen, and she was moaning, and I just knew from looking at her that she had a really bad brain injury, because, like I said, I've done it for a long time. And I could tell that there was something wrong with her leg. And they pulled back the cover, and they showed me that, her femur was broken. And they had told me that they were going to have to intubate her, which means, they had to put a breathing tube down to breathe for her. Not that she wasn't breathing on her own, but we knew we were going to have to go to another hospital, and so just to protect her, that we needed to do that. So Dr. Lawson was our doctor that was there, and we had worked together a lot, and so she asked me, did I want to stay, and I told her yes. So I stayed, and once we got her stable, the Alex City Fire Department come, and Jeremy Spears was one of the guys that rode with us, paramedics, and we loaded up and headed to Children's.
So you went to Children's. What was the prognosis of Children's on Gracie?
Well, when we first got there, of course they wouldn't let me stay with her. They took her on into the ER, and I had to wait in a room. But when they come in, they told us that, her leg was broke. She had a femur fracture, that she had a collapsed lung, and that they had to put a chest tube in. They felt like she probably had some facial fractures, but we didn't know yet what it was, and that she had a brain injury, but until they could get her over to do a CAT scan, they couldn't tell us a whole lot. But that she was leaving to go to CAT scan, and I can meet her upstairs in the PICU in 30 to 45 minutes, which was the longest, 30 to 45 minutes.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then when we got upstairs, they finally come and told us that she had 3 to 4 areas of her brain that was bleeding, that they felt like it was going to stop, and that she had a orbital fracture, which is the bones around her eye was broken.
So was she able to eat on her own?
No, we didn't eat. She didn't get to eat on her own for a long time. I don't remember how many days it was. She got a feeding tube on day 4, which was not the one that had to go in her stomach. It was just the one that went down her mouth. And we kept that for a long time.
Do you remember that, Gracie? Do you remember the feeding
I
tube?
pulled it out all the time.
You pulled it out all the time. Then how did you get anything to eat in there? Huh? If you was pulling it out?
We had to keep putting it back, didn't we?
Did you? Do you remember that? Could you talk? You couldn't talk? Can you talk now? You gonna talk to me? Do you remember having to relearn to talk? Did they have speech at Children's?
They did.
What about physical therapy? Could you walk?
I learned how to walk again.
You did? What about using your arm? Would your arm work? I remember your arm didn't work, did it? Does it work now? Let me see. Oh my goodness, look at that. So you had to learn how to walk, talk, eat, and use your arm again? Well, tell me something about that. Do you remember any of that? Well, tell that camera what you had to do.
The first day I started talking, Mama picked me up and started crying. We practiced a lot about talking. Me and Mom would sit in the bed and say, I love you, Mama. I love you, Daddy.
Did they bring you a drum that you had made for school to play? Were you able to play it at first? Do you remember?
Mama showed me a video. I didn't play it good. I just went,
So are you still in therapy?
mm-hmm.
But not at Children's anymore. You go, where do you go now?
Russell's
Russell?
Medical Center.
You do? And you go to speech there? Oh, no.
Graduated.
Tell them you graduated from speech. Make them believe that you graduated from speech. Tell them something about physical therapy. Tell them about Michelle.
She makes me run on the treadmill, and we race down the hallway, and I always beat her.
That's pretty good. Now, let me think. Did you play softball before? So you had a broken leg, your arm didn't work, you couldn't eat, and you couldn't talk. But can you play softball now? No way. Are you kidding me? You've recovered that well so far? No. When's your first game?
Thursday.
Really? All right. How about that? So, what else can you tell me about your injury? Nothing? Are you back in school? Where do you go to school? Tell the camera where you.
Bend School.
Who's your teacher at Horseshoe Bend School?
Miss Ford.
Is she a good teacher?
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the best, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a lot of friends at Horseshoe Bend, don't you? Do they wear green on Wednesdays for the month of March? Why do they do that?
For brain injury.
Who else in your school has a brain injury?
Chase.
Now, who is Chase?
Your
Can you tell me
son.
about Chase? My son? So, how about that? Chase is my son that also goes to Horseshoe Bend School. And if there's a great thing about brain injury is that before the accident, these two young ladies sitting beside me were like family to me. I've known Jamie since she was a small girl, and I've known Gracie since she was born along with the other children. And we are in a close-knit community in Hackneville, Alabama. And what are the odds of two families being affected by brain injury? My son was playing pool on a youth retreat and had a pool stick stuck through his eye, through the back of his brain. Chase is still struggling with the walking and the using of his arm and his speech, but he had to have emergency surgery to remove his skull to allow for the brain swelling. So he's got a little bit longer way to go, but that's the most important thing to remember about a brain injury, right? Even though y'all look okay on the outside, sometimes you get a little confused still. You just don't know what's going on in there sometimes. And that's the thing for brain injury awareness is that even though that the kids look okay on the outside, their brain is still rewiring on the inside. And that's one thing that I want to leave y'all with before you go to spring break. I want you to have fun, number one. But number two, I want you to protect your noggin. Wear your safety helmets if you're on those bicycles or those four-wheelers. Y'all can always be cautious of your surroundings. While you're playing softball, what are those things you wear on your head? Helmet, and there's some kind of thing you wear.
Face mask.
Face mask. If you're playing softball or baseball, wear your helmets. Anything else you want to tell them to be careful about on spring break?
Don't hit your head with the bat.
Yes, don't hit your head with a bat, and you're in a vehicle. What do you need to do?
Always wear your seatbelt.
Always, and don't text and drive. And if you have a loved one in the car texting and driving, ask them to politely put the phone down. Anything you want to add, Jamie?
What does Daddy tell you about text and driving? What are you supposed to say?
No.
Put your phone down because I value my life.
Exactly. Anything else, Gracie? Let's sign off. Give them a thumbs up.